Well, today is March the 31st, 2025, and spring has sprung here in Northeast Texas. Just wanted to show some of my recent apple grafts I've done. Now, they don't look like much right now, and if you've watched some of my videos, you know I use these old car tires, and I cut out the top of upward facing sidewall of the tire, and I make like a little raised bed out of these and put my fruit trees into them. That way they don't get mowed or whatever. I'll have to come back later and paint the sides of them because that black does attract the sun and get super hot. That being said, this little thing here is a black limber twig, and I've got to get some more soil, so some of these are just sitting here. I've got to add some soil. I do put a couple good layers of cardboard underneath these, and I'll trim that off a little bit maybe, but it keeps the weeds kind of suppressed from coming up in there too quickly. Also, I leave that bottom, if you can see here, I leave that bottom sidewall on these tires, and as you can see, there's rainwater in there. I think it kind of acts as a reservoir even after the dirt is in there for moisture to collect and not just go straight down in the ground. This little tree here is a levering limber twig. I have a Victoria limber twig, and I used to have a lot more limber twigs, but I've lost some, and so I'm trying to get them. They were all on one big tree, and that tree suffered some limb breakage, and so I lost probably a half dozen varieties like that. So trying to get them on their own little trees, so if something happens to one, it doesn't affect others. I've got that may be a later time, but I do have some mulberries here. There's some little wild mulberry trees come up, and I've got some Illinois everbearing grafted onto them, and probably this winter I'll dig them up and move them. They're all too close together right now. But that's another video. We're on apples today, and so right here we have a red royal limber twig graft there, and these for the most part are on M111 rootstock. I have to go back and see. Some of them may be on MM106 rootstock. This is a Brayburn apple. It's actually had a fork in it, so it got two grafts on it. This here is just a stick I cut off of a mimosa tree and stuck here for a stake, and it may root. If it does, I'll have to get it out of there, but for right now it's just a support for my little apple tree. Coming back behind us, parallel to this other row over here, there's some pears there I've got to get planted in there, and some other tires, and so an apple will probably eventually come here to this section. I'm thinking maybe my Wixen crab. I didn't take any scions of Wixen crab from my main tree this year. My Wixen is still on my Franken tree, I guess you call it, with all the different grafts on it. I'd like to get that on its own rootstock, so it may come here next year. This next apple, again, I have a mimosa stick beside this one that's probably going to root, and I might get it out of there, but remember what this is. This is Priscilla apple. Now this is not one that I have already on another tree. I got these scions in this year and put them on here. So I got one in a pot and one actually in this little raised bed, Priscilla apple. Coming back behind here again and parallel with the other beds over here. We have a Wolf River. I have do some thumb pruning here. Little shoots trying to come out of the rootstock. Wolf River. And moving on, up here. So these are all new little trees. I won't get any fruit off of these for probably 3 to 5 years. This is a cauley, C-A-U-L-E-Y, cauley, and that did come off of some cauley that I've had growing on that tree over there. I put so many grafts on some of these trees several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and again, like I said, when you do that, you lose one branch, you lose several varieties. And then besides that, you kind of stress that tree out, and you don't get as much fruit from each variety. So some of these I've had them grown for a couple years, but I've never been able to taste them. So I'm finally kind of putting them on their own root stock. We'll go over here, and I've got, you see, I got these little trees and tires. I've got some pears and stuff in here that I've grafted. This one here is a red, and I always get this name kind of, I don't know if you can see that, red Beidigheimer. And again, I need to trim this rootstock. I just rub all the little rootstock growth out. We'll come down here. There's another little apple. This is another limber twig, and I'm really excited about this one. This one, if it proves to be true, this apple is a variety that was considered extinct for a while, and supposedly someone found an old farm site that the elderly people there said that their parents or grandparents or something like that, the story goes, had planted this tree, and it's supposed to be this variety. So we will see. I was lucky enough, or blessed enough, I should say, to get scion of this, and this was actually grafted back in 2022, and this is gold limber twig, and hopefully that turns out to be the case with that. Let's see, is this apple or pears over here? Okay, that's a pear, and I got a little pear graft there. We'll cover pears on another time. There's another little new pear graft over there. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that. I've got quite a bit going on. I'm going to be doing some more grafting. Still got some scions in the refrigerator. I've been doing some Asian pears today. Put that video on YouTube earlier. This is my oldest apple tree, and it has suffered quite a bit, and so it ended up, it is M111, and M111 does tend to put up some root suckers. So I've been taking the little root suckers coming up and using them for grafting. So it's a little bit late to be digging them, I think, this year. So what I may do is graft them in place, put some grafts on these in place, and then when they go dormant this year, dig them up and get them ready to move to other locations away from this tree. And I don't want this caterpillar on here. You go over there somewhere and eat on something else. So anyway, that's just some of the goings-ons. Hope you enjoyed that. The apples are blooming like crazy, and like I said, this tree's probably got, now I took some off, it's probably got 6 or 8 varieties on it still, and one of these days I'll enjoy the fruit of my labor. So God bless.